Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for the international airing of Power Rangers Dino Fury episode 14, Matchmaker. So this episode is almost like a part 2 to the previous episode. Not so much in a like part 1 of 2, but it kind of leads right into it, and these two episodes kind of go together because both the Ranger villain plots and the character plots kind of extend from that, which is kind of nice. I appreciate that little bit of continuity. Because, last episode we had Izzy taking over that class, of which we had Fern in, who was formerly in the running episode, and this new kid, Adrian. And that's, again, the A-plot is kind of the filler, more character episode, and the Ranger stuff is kind of the B-plot. But there's also some big stuff that happens with that. But let's just talk about the character stuff first. So, she's hosting this running class, and all the Rangers are a part of it too, in addition to her class. And Javi notices that Izzy's, extra happy, and she's wearing perfume and stuff. And she thinks that she likes Aiden, who's the guy from last week. They set them up on a date, but it's very obvious that she actually likes Fern. There is the moment that Javi observes, which I can see how you get that vibe, but I feel like, Izzy was also being really obvious that she liked Fern. She's like, I bet Fern can handle a little resistance. Ah, thank you. And she's like, yes, I am with the resistance. I am with the resistance. This is what resistance fighters look like. Some of us. Others look different. But it's still pretty obvious. But I guess then Slither has himself disguised as a gym douche. It's really funny because during the conversation between Javi and Aiden, you just see this douchey guy going, and I'm like, I was getting ready for him to come up to one of them and be like, yo, you gonna tap that? He had that energy. But it turned out to just be Slither, who got that intel to kidnap Adrian and impersonate him to steal Izzy's morpher. Now again, what the villains did this week was kind of smart. They were kidnapping this guy to get Izzy's morpher to break in, and then they improvised later in using it as blackmail to steal the Sporix thing. However, I couldn't help but thinking, why doesn't he just disguise himself as one of the Rangers and catch another one alone? What if he went up to Izzy as fake Zato and be like, yo, I need to check your morpher for Ranger business or something? Obviously, we wouldn't have the plot of this episode, but it got me thinking about that, because I acknowledged kind of like last episode, it was a smart villain plot, but I also feel like, well, if you have these abilities, you could probably do something even smarter. But that's what ends up happening, is he takes Adrian's place. And then when Fern and Izzy are out at lunch, Javi becomes a third wheel, and then he invites who he doesn't know is fake Adrian there. And he tells Fern, look, I want to set them up. And she first thinks that he's hitting on her, and she's like, I'm not into guys. And he's like, no, I'm trying to set up Izzy. And it's clear that they like each other, and Javi's just screwing the whole thing up. Especially since when they're there, and Javi's like, I sure do like tacos. I'm like, I don't think you're the only one that likes tacos at this table, bro. Too far! The person who's really screwing things up is fake Adrian in this outfit, like he's from Back to the Future 2. I don't know why he's dressed like Marty McFly trying to impersonate his son, but it's just really obvious. And he tries to get Izzy alone by reading off Santa's Christmas list and steal her morpher, and then she ends up stopping him, and they try to figure out, well, why did he think that I like this guy and whatnot, what's going on? And Javi's like, that was my fault, I misread things, and Izzy's kind of upset with him. And they kind of figure everything out, and then that's when they hold Adrian ransom for the Sporix, but they use the double key to summon Kamen Rider Double to fake the exchange. I'm just kidding. They actually use the double form from Revice. I'm just kidding again. No, they use the double key to basically fake the Sporix stash for the hostage exchange, and they make it seem like Javi's there alone, but then they disguise themselves as civilians. They're really bad disguises, really bad Knights of Amber Beach disguises. But I kind of liked it because it was funny. It was especially funny to see them morph too when Zato's dressed like Mrs. Doubtfire. But it was just kind of also cool when they all attacked the monster, because the monster had no idea what was going on. All of a sudden, these people, in a baby cart or whatever, just shows up and starts attacking him, and he goes, what the shell? I just thought that was kind of amusing. And again, smart plan from the Rangers. That's something I've liked about the last couple episodes. Smart plan from both the villain and the Rangers. But they end up tricking him, the monster grows big, we fight him with the Dino Blaze Megazord, and then the episode ends with two major things, which is one is, Javi apologizes to Izzy, and he's like, well, I really thought you liked someone here, and he still wasn't picking up the signals about her and Fern until her and Fern walk off arm in arm. So we end off that story with that. And then villain-wise, Slither still thinks he got all this work from the Rangers because he's been tricked, and he puts on this big show, but it's not true, and it's, disintegrates. And then Void Knight's pissed, and he walks off, and he de-helmets himself, and he's like, soon, my love. So, again, as I mentioned in the spoiler video, if you didn't watch that, we get a face reveal. We still have no idea who he is. I'm still thinking/hoping it's Emilio's parents, but we get to see what he looks like. And something I didn't know when I did the spoiler video, because it was in French, and I just saw pictures, is that the guy that's doing it is the same voice actor as Void Knight. Void Knight's voice actor is the one under the helmet. Probably not for the stunts. I don't know if he's a triple threat. But you can tell, although he sounds a little Batman-y when he takes the helmet off, because he's got kind of an echoey voice when he's got the Void Knight helmet off, and then he takes it off. He's like, soon, my love. where are the drugs? So it was like a little, not that bad, but it was a little Batman-y. At least that's the way I felt it was. So that was a nice little tidbit. That elevated this episode. I thought it was kind of like last week's. I think, setting aside the Void Knight stuff, I think both last week's, I always say last week's because they're so instinctive. Yeah, you know, the last episode, the last two episodes I think were just kind of generally solid Dino Fury episode. I did kind of appreciate the character continuity, continuation of Izzy's story, building from the gym thing, and same thing with like the characters like Fern and Adrian. I don't know if we're probably gonna see Fern again, I imagine. I don't know about Adrian, but I like when we actually follow up on stuff like that, because I hate when we have filler characters that are just one and done and you never see them again. Not that I want to spend an enormous amount of time on them, but it makes it feel a little bit more cohesive, and it doesn't feel like we're just following a random filler character around for nothing. So I appreciated the continuity between that. I thought there was going to be a scene between Fern and is that their pairing name? Maybe. Fern and Izzy discussing it because after Javi misled her, but they didn't have that, which I was surprised by, but I was kind of glad because they felt like they weren't being too heavy-handed with it, which was kind of nice. But it was really nice to get that little tidbit at the end about Void Knight. That's something I feel they've been generally pretty good with Dino Fury, is that even when it's a more fillery episode, you'll have one little nugget in there, whether it's at the end or not, that's furthering the main plot. You didn't have that so much in the last episode, but with this one, it was a pretty big one, and kind of a nice one, because there's still a mystery. We still don't know who Void Knight is exactly, but we get to see who he is, and it leaves things exciting for the future. But yeah, overall, I thought this was another decent episode. I would give it a 3 out of 5. What did you guys think of the episode? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.